My name is hi. My name is Anita, and I'm just making this video to touch on some things and talk about some things that I have been experiencing as a Christian, as a born again Christian, as a new creature, and you hear people talk about it all the time. You hear people say, I'm saved, sanctified, and holy. I'm blessed. Too blessed to be stressed. I'm this, I'm that. And, I used to just think, okay, that's what it was. That's what they are. That's what they say. Then that's what it is. And who am I to say it's not? And I really actually never used to question it. But before I became a Christian, I used to think that all you had to do was, let me take that back. I didn't think that. People showed me that. But I kind of always knew it was something more to it than what they were saying. I was like, you can't just say you want to be a Christian and then you do all kind of crazy stuff that Christians aren't supposed to do, or you act a certain type of way that Christians, as children of God, you're not supposed to act. So I never put much thought into it as somebody who was living in the world, but I used to see certain things and I'd be like, oh, okay, and I just wouldn't think about it. Now, I get over here to this side and lo and behold, same stuff. It's probably a little bit worse. You go to church and people are a trip up in church. People are a trip in Christianity. The people today have made Christianity into a big joke. They have made Christianity into a spectacle, something to be made fun of. They have it to where people are comparing it to lunacy. Like, if you're a Christian, you must be crazy because all Christians are crazy. And this is how a lot of people perceive Christianity. This is what they perceive it to be, something that's a whole bunch of crazy people getting together acting crazy, because that's what they do a lot of the times. And see, one thing is they use a lot of scriptures to hide behind things, the same as people who aren't saved do, who know the Bible. They use scriptures to say this or that or this or that, but doesn't make it necessarily true. It just means that you made the scripture to what you wanted it to be. Christians do the same thing. I thought I was going to get over here and everything was going to be all love and all wonderful and all this and this and that. And it's like people will smile at you and be thinking something totally different. Be feeling something totally different. The same thing applies in the world, applies in the church. So one thing I just want to say to anybody who's been dealing with whether or not they want to get saved, or been battling inside themselves about whether or not they want to start going to church, when you get to a church home, or when you get to a church and you find a church home, and or even one you've already been at and you want to go back, I strongly advise and urge you to not worry about people. Don't worry about what they're thinking. Don't worry about how they act. Don't worry about what they do if it's contradictory to the way they live. Don't feed into their delusions, because that's all it is. They're deluding themselves to think that they're doing things correctly. And even when they take things that are incorrect, they cover it up with scripture and say that this, and this. So they're doing it correctly. And it doesn't make it so. So anybody who is leaning towards getting saved, and which I'd strongly urge you to do, just keep in mind that churches are, don't look for salvation in a church. Look for salvation in Jesus Christ. Read your word. Get connected to him instead of just saying that you're connected. Seek his face on an honest level to where you have brought yourself down to nothing, and say to yourself, say to God, I want to know you for real. And if you mean that, he will show you who he is. And not in some miraculous blessing of money or men, or a man or a woman or people, period. Just, he will show you who he is, and you will begin to understand that he is real. He is the only true living God, and he needs us to, he doesn't need it. Let me see. He delights in the return of one of his children. So if you're thinking about it, don't think about it. Just do it, because you won't be sorry if you don't come to church looking for the wrong thing, like companionship or friendship. Or it's okay to get support from people, but you have to know you have to go to God first, because sometimes he doesn't want you to go to people looking for what he can give you. And that's a lot of times people make that mistake, is that they're looking for friends in church, and they're looking for people to hold them up, and looking for people to push them. And we have the power to do that ourselves. Through Jesus Christ, we can push ourselves. We can stay grounded ourselves, because when you, what happens is, when you look for people to push you, when the people stop pushing you, you get stuck, and then you start to feel a certain way, and then other things come in, so always know that church is not perfect. The same way the world is not perfect, people aren't perfect. They never will be. As a Christian, you're supposed to strive for perfection, but just know the church is not perfect. And so if anybody is basing their non-Christianity on the fact that church is not perfect, because the people in church are doing the same thing people in the world are doing, don't base it on that. Get it for yourself. Get God for yourself as an individual effort of you to save your soul, and focus on that only, and then you'll get the bigger picture. Everything else is like small peanuts. It don't matter. You'll get the bigger picture. Okay, well, I just wanted to encourage you with that today, and see you when I see you.